That's what war sounds like. New attacks and escalating tensions in the Middle East. This after a wave of deadly sabotage of Hezbollah pagers and walkie-talkies. Here in New York, Republicans celebrate after Donald Trump's raucous rally at the Nassau Coliseum. But will it have an impact on the race for the White House here in New York? And with 42% of the nation's food supply going uneaten, one group here is on a mission to partner with restaurants and food establishments to fight back against food waste.
From ABC-7 New York, this is Eyewitness News Extra Time.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Eyewitness News Extra Time. I'm Bill Ritter. We're going to begin with the crisis in the Middle East and the escalating fears of a widening war once again. 2 days of death in Lebanon over the last 2 days from exploding pagers and radios believed to be triggered by Israel. And today, the Israeli military said it struck dozens of Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon. Hezbollah also struck at least 4 times in northern Israel, killing 2 Israeli soldiers. As tensions rise once again, another airline, Delta, stopped flights from New York to Israel until the end of this year. Lots going on. Eyewitness News reporter Jim Dolan following the developments.
As Lebanon began today to bury the dead from Israel's pager and radio attacks, the menacing sonic booms of Israeli warplanes carrying out attacks on Hezbollah infrastructure after the Iran-funded terrorist organization fired rockets into Israel earlier in the day. The war in the Middle East is moving north.
There is a real problem that needs to be resolved when it comes to northern Israel and southern Lebanon, and that is the fact that since October 8th, Hezbollah has been firing rockets into Israel. Israel's been firing back.
All of this after Israel detonated thousands of pagers and walkie-talkie radios that ABC News has confirmed Israel made and sold to Hezbollah from a shell company Israel created. It left at least 37 people dead and scores injured.
People were looking at the message, and then they exploded. And that explains why the main injuries are to hands and to the face, to the eyes.
And the impact on Hezbollah members was just as devastating.
They can no longer use their cell phone. They can no longer trust their laptop. They can no longer trust anything that can receive or send an electronic signal.
Hezbollah head Hassan Nasrallah went on television today and said the attacks amounted to a declaration of war. Retribution, he said, will come, and soon we will witness the complete destruction of this criminal regime. Israel does not seem convinced.
As time goes by, Hezbollah will pay an increasing price. In the new phase of the war, there are significant opportunities, but also significant risks. Hezbollah feels that it's being persecuted, and the sequence of military actions will continue.
Lebanon cannot afford a costly war with Israel, and Israel's military is starting to feel the strain and fatigue of its year-long war in Gaza. Diplomats from around the world are trying to bring the two nations together, trying to pull them back from what looks now like the brink of war. Jim Dolan, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Meanwhile, in the race for the White House, Vice President Harris later tonight will be in Michigan for an event with Oprah Winfrey. Maybe you've heard of her. This while former President Trump will speak to the Israeli-American Council in Washington, D.C. Mr. Trump's speech coming 24 hours after this raucous rally on Long Island, where he painted a rather bleak picture of New York City should he not get elected again. One day after that rally, local Republicans hailing it as a great success. But as Eyewitness News reporter Stacey Sager shows us, local Democrats are asking questions about who paid for all this security.
The large turnout and all that came with it on Wednesday now being called a $1 million backroom deal by Nassau County Democrats, who accused the Republican county executive Bruce Blakeman of using taxpayer money to help Donald Trump get elected. An unprecedented amount, they say, for the security needed here for what became a 15-hour carnival-like day outside the Nassau Coliseum. Security in public works and parks, all paid for with public money.
This is far above anything else that we've had or anything we would consider typical.
But Blakeman firing back, stating, quote, Nassau County provides security and safety to all public figures and public events regardless of party affiliation. I guess Democrat leaders really do want Trump killed, but it ain't happening in Nassau County, end quote. It's an accusation that left Democrats stunned.
Are you serious? Oh my God.
We didn't say the police should not be there. We want the police there. We want everyone safe. But the campaign should pay for that additional service.
And so they filed a complaint with the Federal Election Commission. Nassau County, not the first municipality to raise issues about the Trump price tag. Recently, after Trump said he wanted to visit Springfield, Ohio, the mayor of Springfield said,
"It would be an extreme strain on our resources. So it would be fine with me if they decided not to make that stop right now."
But here in New York, particularly on Long Island, where support for Trump is stronger than in the city, this was an opportunity for the former president to tweak his message and to make a bold claim last night.
It hasn't been done for a long time, but we are going to win New York.
Right now, Harris has a double-digit lead. A 13-point lead with 6.5 weeks to go is a fairly comfortable lead.
Now, it's important to point out that's not the lead that Joe Biden won with 4 years ago. He won by a 23-point lead. But keep in mind, New York has been a blue state for the past 40 years. And the last time a Republican won was 1984 when Ronald Reagan was re-elected. In Mineola, I'm Stacey Sager, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Now to some money news, and Americans are taking advantage of the Fed's first interest rate cut since the pandemic. According to the Mortgage Bankers Association, nationwide applications were up 14.2% last week in anticipation of the rate cut. Applications to refinance a home loan up 24%. And yesterday, the Fed slashed interest rates by 0.5%. Here's the reaction. It was the first cut in more than 4 years, and the move comes amid cautious optimism that inflation is now cooling. But now politics are colliding with economics. CNN's Brian Abel reports from Washington on how the presidential candidates are reacting and using this cut.
After over 3 years of grappling with the economy crippled by COVID, Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris celebrating Wednesday's Federal Reserve interest rate cut in a campaign statement calling it welcome news. The timing of the cut, though, is leading her opponent, Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump, to question whether the Fed's move is a political one.
I guess it shows the economy is very bad to cut it by that much. Assuming they're not just playing politics, the economy would be very bad, or they're playing politics, one or the other. But it was a big cut.
Some experts and economists, however, dismissing those claims.
The job market's roughly where it should be. Inflation is getting back down to where it should be.
Look, if the Federal Reserve were trying to influence this election, trying to help Democrats, they would have cut rates 9 months ago.
President Joe Biden saying this about the Fed cut in a Thursday economic speech.
I think it's good news for consumers, and it means the cost of buying a home, a car, and so much more will be going down.
Only time will tell if voters will feel the impacts of leveling inflation and the rate cut, or if they'll believe it's political smoke and mirrors before casting ballots in November.
As much as people like to put the election on the Fed's shoulders, the Federal Reserve does what it does when it thinks it's possible to do it and when it thinks it needs to do it, not answering to any politicians.
In Washington, Brian Abel reporting.
Federal Reserve does not play politics. As we continue with Eyewitness News Extra Time, it is the oldest horse racing track in the country, and now it's going to close. So why is the Freehold Raceway in New Jersey ending its run? We'll tell you why next. Imagine being in business since 1853, and then the owners suddenly decide to close up shop. That's what's happening in Monmouth County, New Jersey, the oldest operating racetrack in the country, Freehold Raceway, announcing today that it will close at the end of this year. Now, some people love horse racing, some despise it, but for those who like it, it's a big deal. New Jersey reporter Tony Yates has the story.
You were in the grandstand, you see it. This is what they wanted. If things were so bad here, if things were so bad, why not change management?
Anger, disgust.
They're running it poorly.
They don't do anything for the better anymore.
And disappointment from fans and visitors who have long histories tied to Freehold Raceway, which has been operating since 1853, 171 years. Shore's family so tightly tied to this racing community, she even held her wedding here.
Why not bring people in to fix it? Why not do something to make money and make this racetrack more profitable? Why?
This is my second home because I've been racing horse for 30 years here. So we're really going to miss it, but we're trying to all get together and maybe we can get something going.
Employees, some who have worked here for decades, told us they were told to come to the racetrack at 10 this morning, where the news was broken to them that harness racing and simulcast operations would end December 28th, and so go their jobs. General Manager Howard Bruno releasing a statement that says, in part, unfortunately, the operations of the racetrack cannot continue under existing conditions, and we do not see a plausible way forward.
Just to bring my grandchildren here with the outside track there. It's beautiful.
Very, very sad. It's been open for so many years. It's historic, and it's going to be gone.
Mayor Kevin Kane says the raceway is owned by two Pennsylvania gaming companies that have focused their investments in that state, making horse racing on their other tracks more lucrative.
So that anybody with a decent horse in this area would drive an hour, hour and a half, and they could race for 3 times the amount of money.
Mayor Kane says the borough will look at alternative uses for the site, though he and many others are hoping a horsing enthusiast will come in and save the raceway. In Freehold, Tony Yates, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
As we continue with Eyewitness News Extra Time, it is a colossal problem in the tri-state area and indeed across the country. Food going to waste. But a group in our area is now leading the charge to save perfectly good food and make sure it gets to the people who really need it. We're going to take a deeper dive into the food problem we have of waste. That's next. The hard truth is we waste a lot of food. 40% of food produced in the United States goes to waste every day. New York City throws away roughly 8 million pounds. That's 4,000 tons of food and or other organic waste. This is according to the Columbia Climate School. In New York State, food makes up about 18% of the total state's waste. Can you imagine this? Each year, about 3.9 million tons of wasted food from New York ends up in a landfill. That's not good. New Jersey, I should say, throws out over 1.6 million tons of food each year. Connecticut throwing out 500,000 tons of food each year. This is according to the EPA. Now, adding all that up means 6 million tons of food wasted every year in the tri-state area. A group called Rethink Food. It's an organization that partners with top New York City restaurants to repurpose food that is thrown away each night and give it instead to people who need it. And don't throw it away. That's not what's happening here. Joining us with more on this is Matt Jowiak. He's founder and CEO of Rethink Food. Matt, good to see you, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate you having me on the show.
Well, let's tell people what this is about, because those numbers, Matt, are staggering. Why the need for your organization?
Yeah, it's really hard to donate food, and I think it's been a challenge for a lot of people. So what we do is we try to help small businesses in the neighborhoods that we partner with to have an understanding of how to utilize their excess, redistribute their excess. We also have our Greenwich Village location where we collect hundreds of thousands of pounds a year of excess food and try to show locals how to handle it, as you can see in that video right there.
And how eager are people in the business to say, yes, you're right. You are right, sir. We want to do this. How do we do this? Are they eager to do that?
You know, so my background's as a cook, so I can kind of see through it a little bit. For the most part, folks they get a little defensive at first. We don't throw away any food. We don't throw it. And I'm like, well, let me come in. Let's look at what's going on. And then over time, you build that relationship, and they do get excited about it, and they do excited about the cost savings at the end of the day.
Did you fund this? Did you found this?
I was a cook. I was a cook at 11 Madison Park, and I left there with the help of Daniel Hume, the chef there, to start Rethink.
All right. So if I'm right about the name of that restaurant, Danny Meyer owned that restaurant, right?
Yeah, way back when. And then I think like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, Daniel Hume bought it from Danny, and now it's one of the top restaurants in the world. And
I know Danny, and I know that he would love this operation. Have you talked to him? And what role does he play?
Danny Meyer's been incredibly supportive. I mean, in the beginning when it was kind of hard to get into restaurants, Gramercy Tavern, we actually got the introduction over there, and they were so excited, so helpful, and Danny's been really engaged. The catering company that they work with, that they have, has donated a tremendous amount of food.
That's just awesome. Do you miss, before we go on here, do you miss cooking, Chef?
You know, I really do. I really do. I do miss it a lot, yeah.
Well, you know, but what you're doing is kind of God's work here, because this is important stuff, and it's tied, before we get into more details, this is tied to climate change. And I know I would like to have you express to our viewers exactly why you think that is.
I mean, it emits so many greenhouse gases. It's expensive. It's hard on our sanitation equipment. That's something people don't think about. I mean, the food waste that goes on in our city is a core problem. I mean, down to the rat problem. That's why it's there. It's why it smells bad in the summer. That's all of these challenges, and it's destroying our environment. And at the same hand, there's a lot of people who could really use it. So it's a. Go ahead, sorry.
And you're making it happen. I want to get to the numbers of what you've done. Since 2017, Rethink Food has distributed more than 26 million meals. That's just a staggering number. But I know, having met you at a dinner party one time and saying, you got to come on our show, I know that you feel that this you're not doing enough. You want to do more.
No, it's a system change we're after, and little by little, year after year, we kind of get people to understand that you can pack up your excess food at the end of the night. There is a shelter that you can partner with as a small business to donate your excess food. There are government grants and philanthropic organizations willing to support this work. It's very possible to solve the food insecurity issue that we have in New York City and to solve this climate change problem. It's really a matter of connecting the right people, and the right people are the community leaders and the small businesses in those communities.
We had a lot of numbers when I introduced you, and Matt, and I want to know how much extra you need still to go before you get into, let's say, what is it? What's your goal? 50%, 100%? What is it?
What's our goal to reduce food waste?
Yeah. Well, what that you can do here in New York City.
What you could do? I mean, with the capacity that's in kitchens, we're not even close to capacity. So there's so much more work to do. It's a matter of kind of getting folks' attention, getting people excited about it, and getting the right people in the room, from policyholders to policy changers to philanthropies, to help us make this happen.
Climate Week begins on Saturday. We thought it was a good time on this Thursday night to have you on our show and exactly, let people know what you do and how they can help. Rethink Food, NYC Climate Week 2024, September 21st to 28th. You are making things happen, young man, and I'm really, I can say I'm proud to know you, because we need more people like you and more people doing what you're doing. Matt, thank you very much. Matt Jowiak from Rethink Food. You're a good man and you're doing a good thing, no question. But go ahead and cook every once in a while, because I'm sure you miss it.
I really do.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Matt. Really appreciate you taking time to talk to us. As we continue with Eyewitness News Extra Time, taking a live look outside, Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg will have an update on the weather. That's next. And it's something like out of a classic double mint gum commercial, a special double celebration, 100 years in the making. Tonight, a story about life and two people in our area who are today celebrating a lifespan longer than most of us could ever really imagine. Happy birthday to two women in an assisted living home in the Nassau County hamlet of Jericho. And mazel tov to both women for reaching a major milestone, 100 years old. At the celebration for us, here's Long Island reporter Shantae Lands.
Happy birthday to you.
It's a celebration like no other.
I'm thrilled.
100 years old. I never expected that.
Together, Edith Tweedy and Elaine Blumstein are celebrating their 100th birthday.
I don't feel a day older than 21. I feel exactly the same way I felt then.
Originally from the Lower East Side, Elaine married Joseph, a World War II veteran, working as an executive assistant. Edith grew up in the Bronx, later settling in West Hempstead, working as a travel agent until 90, exploring the world.
Not many people live to this age, and my family did not.
A special gift of life.
Happy birthday. Thank you.
For their children to cherish.
I love her. She means a lot to all of us.
So, what's their secret?
I have no secret.
Her daughter, Kathy, disagrees.
Vodka's her secret.
The duo meeting for the first time, where they both live at the Bristol Assisted Living Home in Jericho, at their own centennial birthday party.
You are older than me. And don't forget it.
Edith's actual birthday is next Friday on September 27th. Elaine's birthday was on September 1st. Now get this, both of these ladies are just 2 of 5 people living here celebrating their 100th birthday this year. In Jericho, Shantae Lands, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
Just awesome, right? All right, time for the weather. Here's Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg.
The sunlight goes through those ice crystals. It's at 22 degrees, called 22-degree halo. And you see this kind of mock sun, and you usually see it on both sides of the sun. So pretty beautiful out there. That's physical meteorology. I think that was sophomore year. 82 degrees in Central Park, a northeasterly wind at about 3, the humidity at 45%. All right, coming off of that full harvest moon, that's why we have coastal issues. Today's high 84 might be the warmest day till next spring. I mean, our average high is 75, and our temperatures are trending down. Sunset just before 7 o'clock tonight. So we're seeing this storm off the New England coast that's producing wind gusts 30, 40 miles an hour, Cape Cod and the islands. For us here, we've had some 20-mile-per-hour wind gusts on Long Island. And tomorrow, we'll have some 20-mile-per-hour gusts just about everywhere, at least 15 to 20, and maybe 30-mile-per-hour gusts on the east end. So that low's trying to get a little closer. Today, low 80s. What a beautiful evening ahead. This dry stretch may last into early next week, say later Tuesday night. The rain could scrape the east end of Long Island tomorrow. Most areas are going to stay dry. There's also a low risk on Saturday. I'll show you on the futurecast for a shower. The extended forecast, a cool autumn breeze coming in over the weekend. That's when we'll lean to Bill's forecast, and rain by the time we get to Tuesday night. There is the low offshore. Look at that heavy rain and light rain trying to reach toward Block Island and ultimately the east end. That could happen tomorrow morning. Then we're watching, wow, a tornado threat over the upper Midwest. So this severe front moves eastward and eventually kind of kicks this low eastward, and we're kind of in a safe spot in between the two. So for tonight, clouds back in from the east, more clouds east tomorrow morning. More clear sky west, maybe a couple showers reach Montauk or the Hamptons. I don't think they reach New York City or back farther west. During the afternoon hours, a mix of sun and clouds, definitely more clouds and cooler east. We'll get in the mid and upper 70s. A good 7 degrees cooler than today. Sunday, again, squeezed in between two systems, but pretty nice. Partly sunny, 50s and 60s to start, probably low and mid 70s with a cooler breeze on Saturday, but still a very pleasant day to be outside. By the time we get to Saturday night and Sunday, the best threat of rain is actually coming from the west. It may scrape western New Jersey. Once again, I think most areas stay dry. Northeast winds tomorrow, it's going to be choppy. The rip current risk is high if you're trying to get that bonus beach time in. Jersey Shore, better conditions than Long Island. 66 degrees tonight, partly to mostly cloudy skies. It's breezy at times, maybe some late night rain along the east end. It's 78 tomorrow. What a nice day. It's not as warm, but clouds and sun, more clouds east, a shower on the east end. 62 tomorrow night, partly to mostly cloudy. Here's your 7-day. Nice weekend. There are your fall temperatures. 71 as fall arrives, and then cool and dry Monday before the rain comes back Tuesday night, and it might stick around.
And thank you, Lee. Before we say goodbye to you, we want to say goodbye to a true giant in the television industry and a great friend of ours. After 53 years, Art Moore is retiring from the ABC family. Many of us here at Channel 7 gathered last night to celebrate his decades-long career. You probably best know Art for his appearances on Live with Kelly and Mark, but he has been an integral part of our team behind the scenes at Channel 7 as our Vice President of Programming. Art joined us here at WABC in 1989. Kelly and Mark will honor Art tomorrow with a special celebration at 9 o'clock on Channel 7. That's 9 in the morning. Just watch Kelly and Mark tomorrow and you will see this man who is just so smart and so famous. Really, he's the real guy. And we are going to miss him so very much. Wow. I don't want to cry, so I won't. I'll just say instead, thank you, Art. And that wraps up this edition of Eyewitness News Extra Time. We thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Bill Ritter. We're back live on Eyewitness News at 11 o'clock on Channel 7. We hope to see you then. Until then, have a great and safe night. As we say, it's a nice sunset.